This morning we're going to talk to Gay Eli, who is a former colleague of mine when we were working together in Perth in Western Australia. And she's got a few qualifications and she's currently working as an instructor for a private learning institution. So we'll introduce Gay. This is John Knight from the University Skills Academy, and welcome to an interview. Let me proudly introduce my friend and former colleague Gay Eli, who used to work with me at an IT company in Perth, and we both ended up doing night school together, me to formalise and upgrade some qualifications, and Gay to initially become an instructor, an adult educator. And Gay actually sat in on the first course I taught at the software company and gave me critical feedback after 4 months of me busting my backside trying to put something together for the oil and gas game, and shredded the course for me. So I've from day one, in fact, I recruited Gay, which is kind of payback in a half, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
be careful who you interview.
Yeah, absolutely. And be careful putting your hand up for interviewing. End up being my boss at some point. No. So Gay's had a lot of work experience in project management, starting with Marconi and a few other companies in the UK, and then a couple of companies in Western Australia. And I upgraded a training certificate that was so out of date that the guys at the institution didn't even know what it was. And Gay got her first teaching ticket with me, but then went on to do a diploma of project management, and then went on to do a diploma of training and adult education. Yep. And then went on to continue Gay, because there's probably half an hour's worth of conversation. And it doesn't matter what you do, even if you go on to be a bricklayer and you do a quick and dirty 6 months bricklaying course, your first 6 weeks has to be shoveling the mud, because if you don't know how to mix mud, you can't lay bricks.
No, that's right. You haven't got that solid foundation.
That's it. And whether that's in first year carpentry or butchery, where the first thing you do is learn how to sharpen your tools.
That's right.
First year uni, you've got to do your maths and your stats and your communications and your English.
It doesn't matter. That's right. It doesn't matter what you're learning. You've got to do that dirty work first.
Yeah. And like it or not, unless you're Bill Gates's kids, you're not going to start with a Rolls Royce and a driver and a suit.
No, you're right.
But to get that ticket, you need time management, right? Ryan needed to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to have breakfast.
5.
And be digging trenches by 7:30. Be on site at 6, right?
Yeah,
that's right. Well, guess what? You've got to be. Doesn't matter what it is. You've got to be early for work.
Yeah,
you've got to be early for work, and guess what? That requires time management.
Yeah.
And that requires goal setting. Do I want to get my 40 hours pay this week and maybe some overtime?
So do you think a younger person who's out there in the world of work can understand or knows exactly what their objective is in their life?
I think it depends on the individual, right? And it depends on what the world actually throws at the young person. When I was cooking in Sydney without a ticket, I had friends who said, "Great, let's go down the snowfields this weekend." I said, "Yeah, that's fine, I'll go." And then it turned out it was $1,500 there, back, and accommodation and food and booze and that sort of thing. I thought, well, no, I can't go. Simple as that. While all my mates who had finished their degree and were working in salaried positions were on 4 or 5 or 10 times my earnings, and if I didn't put in 60 hours a week, I couldn't eat. Real simple. Whereas someone else right next door, younger than me, right, sucked it up for 3 years and got on with it, was loads better off. So what's your point of paying as a young person? What do you actually want? Do you want a good salary? Do you want a comfortable job? Or would you rather go down the pub tonight and not study?
Yeah.
Because down the road, what's it going to cost you?
So then I'll tell you the story about Jordan. So Jordan, the younger one,
very different child, I must say.
Very different child.
Possibly, right? Possibly opposite ends. What is it? You've got 5 kids, and I got 5 fingers, and no two are the same. Well,
no,
it's
you're
true
right.
with 2 kids.
So there's Jordan, right? He says, well, Ryan left school at 15. I'd like to leave school at 15. And this time I didn't freak out. What do you want to
Only
do,
because you've been
Geordie?
there before.
Yeah. What do you want to do, Geordie? I want to be a carpenter. Okay, great. So how long's the apprenticeship for? 3 years, Mum. But I can't find anybody to be my, my apprentice host.
Yeah.
Anyway, we found one, and this guy, who is an English gentleman, English business owner, took Jordan on and did all the paperwork, and Jordan became his apprentice, and he taught Jordan everything about carpentry. Yes, every so often he'd have to go to Challenger TAFE and do the necessaries like Ryan did. He came out of his apprenticeship after 3 years, earning just as much as me.
Yeah, yeah.
His skills in that particular trade were I don't know what you call it. It was specific. It was like decking, like specific decking, marquetry, all sorts of stuff like that. So
Marquetry as well. Okay.
Jordan then goes, I really like this, but I'm not really living. I'm working every single hour God can send me. I get up at 5 in the morning. I finish at 3, 4 o'clock. I work weekends. I'm earning all this money.
But I can't spend it.
I know what I'll do. I'll go and spend it. So what does he do now? And he's been doing this for the last 3 years, as you know. He works hot solid for the first 6 months of the year.
And then holidays for the next 6.
And then off he goes, holidaying around the world for the next 6 months. And he comes back because of his skills, his competency.
He'll pick up a job.
He picks up a job straight away on a good, great salary, and he does it again for the following year.
I've got a mate who is a carpenter, and he applied for a job with the Australian Antarctic Division.
Yeah.
Right? And he got a job as a carpenter with them, but everybody in the Australian Antarctic Division has to be dual skilled. So
yes.
if you've got one trade, they will give you the training for another job. And you know what job they gave him?
No.
They trained him up to be an anaesthetist.
Oh.
So if somebody needed to be operated on, right, he'd done right before he was allowed on the ship. They gave him 3 months worth of high-level medical training, right, testing every 3 days or whatever. And he now spends 6 months on the ice and 6 months doing what your son does, partying and doing his thing. So he's the base anaesthetist for 6 months a year, as well as a chippy, and the carpenter. So, they do ongoing training down there in the dark or whatever. And if someone has a busted leg, they've got a doctor on site, and he knocks them out, not with a hammer. And lo and behold, there you go. So I mean,
and then with Jordan's travelling, he got his PADI license here for diving, his master PADI license, so he can instruct as well when he travels.
Very handy. And guess what? If he didn't have the income of a carpenter, he'd be flipping burgers at McDonald's somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what was Jordan's time management like?
Brilliant. He's so much better than Ryan. What's
the difference?
He knows that if he's got to get the work done, he'll work till 6, 7 o'clock at night just to get it completed. He's got better customer service skills. I would say his personal skills, like his interpersonal skills, is far better than Ryan. Although Ryan's very strategically planning, he strategically plans his work, and he looks it from the beginning to end. Jordan does it more on a daily, weekly basis.
You think that's the nature of the work he's in because he's
probably
effectively a day carpenter as opposed to a project manager, which the older boy is?
Definitely. So, if you take somebody in uni, it's like the first year's not a project management type role because they're having to do that foundation course.
But you need to manage the project of passing.
You do. Yes. So they need to understand planning. They need to understand timing. They need to understand the cost that they're going to implement, or the money that they're going to be spending over those 3-4 years. They want to know that at the end of the 4 years, am I going to walk out with what I first started with? I have a
no, and I would say that from a trades-based perspective, that's why a 5-year apprenticeship is so important because with that Cert 3 level trade, you actually need to develop the manual skills.
Yes.
And you will be dealing with people. It's a very rare tradesman who is an entirely solo worker. Even
right.
if they do work by themselves as a sole trading plumber, they still have to talk with their customers.
Yeah. They still need to have people skills.
I had a concreter here 3 years ago, and I nearly stopped the job and sent it all home because he told me to get effed.
Charming.
Yeah, paid, and I was paying for the privilege.
I'm just.
You got to go. No, that's good.
So,
okay.
Yeah, in a while.
All right. Well.
Okay.
So a couple of things I'd like to say here is that we've talked about those three key things, and although it sounds entirely rudimentary, motivation, work, and time management, but without those, nothing else is going to happen. I would like to firstly acknowledge Gay. She's far more qualified than I will ever be. Gross.
I don't think so.
I mean, far more qualified than I will ever be, and has been a great friend and mentor over the decades for me. We've known each other 10 years, we have, haven't we?
Vice versa, yeah.
This has been John Knight interviewing Gay Eli for the University Skills Academy. I would like to thank you for your time and your trouble, and we'll see you in the next session.